Hello, I am back again. So let's give it a few minutes for people to tune in again. Yes, we are live and we are about to do the half square triangles. So I can see a couple of you are back again. We'll give it 2 or 3 minutes and then we will start doing those. Let's just have a look here. I'll just make myself some half square, just press my half square triangles. Oh, perhaps I shouldn't have done that. Okay. So let's see. There we are. Oh, there's Sandra again, and Jack and Leslie. Fantastic. So I did have a look down. I had a look down the comments, and Christine, if you're back there, I am downloading the little girl's dress at the very moment. And after this next break, it will be on YouTube. So the little girl's dress, as I say, will be on there. The other thing I've done, I've uploaded the PDFs to the system. So in this group, you will find the PDFs now for the square in a square and the, oh, there's Maria, fantastic. The PDF for square in a square and for patch. Hello, Beverly. So for anybody that's missed the first one, absolutely can watch them back individually. So if you find me now, this may, just because it's the second one, it doesn't matter, because you will be able to watch the first one. They're all individual videos, so you can watch them all separately as well. Hi, Christine. Oh, Facebook is definitely doing silly things. So rather than me seeing all the comments at the same time, they come up and then they disappear. I don't think Facebook wants people doing lives anymore. So we'll find another way. I shall be doing lives on YouTube soon. Hello, Nettie. Thank you for finding me again. I did see somebody just now, a comment came in, not on here. Where do I find the live? So it's I can't do anything at the moment. Hello, Leslie. And yes, can't do anything once I am going live. So I'm sure they'll be able to find at some point. So half square triangles, we are 3 or 4 minutes in, and we start with 2 5-inch squares. And so if you have a charm pack that is going spare, or individual charms that are left over from, you know, another project, then, oh, hi Liz, then these are ideal. And if you've got 2 that are a contrast, as in a light and a dark, absolutely spot on. You don't need to go any further than that. No cutting. But being a scrap quilt, you know, you can use any bits of fabric you like. If you are a seasoned quilter and you wanted to combine different fabrics, such, I mean, years ago I did make a velvet quilt. Oh my goodness, it was horrendous, but we did it. It was for charity and we did it. There was a group of us ladies did. So it can be done. So you can combine different fabrics, but you do need to have to, hello Nikki, you do need to sort of be aware of the way different fabrics will work. They might be a bit stretchy, they might have a nap, or they might be directional, you know, so you could combine tweed with velvet. Very rare, and you could use polycottons, but I very rarely combine cotton and polycotton because the finish is totally different. Just when you're pressing, it reacts differently to heat. So for quilters on the whole, I would stick to the same fabric, but as I say, if you're an experienced quilter and want to put other fabrics together, you can do. So a lot of you will have seen this all before, but I thought as it's part of the quilt, half square triangles, they are a major part. They're one of the main blocks that you use in patchwork designs these days and since forever. So I was just going to show you the nice easy way to make 2 at a time. So we'll get from these 2 squares, we will make 2 half square triangles. Right, so the very first thing, and I've done that already, is I have drawn a diagonal line, one diagonal line across the back, the wrong side of the fabric. And then I am going to place one on top of the other, right sides together, make sure they line up perfectly. What I don't usually do, but if you would like to add a couple of pins to the side of your drawn line, because we don't want the pins to get in the way, because what we're going to do here is we are going to stitch 1/4 of an inch from the drawn line on both sides. So again, I'm using a 1.8 seam allowance, and I'm going to, I've got my 1/4 of an inch foot on. You can use a specific, a bespoke 1/4 of an inch foot, or if you have your standard foot on, you can move your needle position to 5.5, which will give you a 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. So the edge of my foot is running just along that drawn line to give me a 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. So we'll go down the first side. Now again, if, as you will be at some point making more of these, I would put the next pair of squares under the needle and carry on stitching until you've got, I think you need 10 sets, which will give you 20 half square triangles. As I'm only doing one, I'm going to cut there and I go back round to the other side. So I'm turning it around 180 degrees so that I can come back down the other side. Now, you could do the same if you've got a whole chain of them, and just then go back down that second side. Okay, so there is my, there's my line, there's my 2 rows of stitching. I'm now going to cut on that drawn line or thereabouts. Now, it doesn't matter if you come off of it slightly. What you don't want to do is get too close to your stitching, but if it wobbles a little in the middle, you haven't done anything too badly, because the way we work with this is we're going to trim it back to, we want it to be an unfinished 4.5 inch square. Once it's finished, it will be 4 inches square. So if you have, which I have here, if you have a half square triangle ruler, which is one of my which is one of my rulers, this is for easy half square triangles. And I'm going to use this using the 4.5 inch dashed line. So let's just get in our rotary mat along with the ruler, and I'll do it on the darker side so that you can see a little bit better. So we're not actually working with the outer size of our triangle, we're working with the dashed line that says 4.5, because we want our unfinished square to be 4.5 inches square. So I'm going to line that dashed line with the 4.5 on with my stitching on my triangle. So I am going to stand up to do this because it is much better to do so. So 4.5, and you'll see once I have lined that up, and if your stitches are a little bit wobbly as it goes across, that's not a problem either, because it's the outside measurement that matters. So I've lined that up with the 4.5, and then I'm going to trim to that side and the other side. And if you want to, you can use the little slots to trim off your dog ears or your bunny ears. Now, when I press this, I will show you the size. So there is my triangle trimmed. Let's just bring in my second one now. So there is my second one. Again, I'm lining up that 4.5 inch dashed line. So stitching on top of stitching and holding that down in the center. And I'm just trimming to one side and the other. And then I'm putting my rotary blade in that slot and in that slot too. And I don't know, I didn't quite trim that enough. So let's just trim that little bit off there. So I have now got, there we are. I have now got 2 half square triangles, which need to be, when I turn that open, they need to be 4.5 inches square. So I am just looking for my pressing mat, which has disappeared, so that I can just use the iron and press that open. Excuse me. Pressing mat come to me. Typical. But I will just take it to the iron and just press that. So I'm going to set the seam first of all, and then just press. So there is one. I've got my dark fabric on the top so that the seam allowance goes under the dark fabric. And there are my 2 perfect half square triangles. So I'm just going to get a ruler just so that you can see they are a perfect, I could show you on the mat really. So on the mat here, you can see here is the 4.5 marking, and if I pop that into the corner, that is a perfect 4.5. Let me put my ruler on the top there, and I haven't got any dog ears to trim off either. So let me just line that up on there, and there we have, it is perfectly a perfect, oh there's Kim, well done. There is a perfect 4.5 inch square. Now, if, let's just have a look. So if you don't have the easy half square triangle ruler, and these were my scrappy bits, so these aren't going to be 4.5 inches square, but I'll show you what to do when you are trimming. So you may, if you don't have those, I just found my mat there, if you don't have those, you will have a ruler of some sort so that you can trim this to your 4.5 or whatever size it might be. So and using a ruler, you'll be able to, just try to see if I've got a smaller ruler here. Oh, have I? I have, with my line. So here I have a ruler. You may have a different brand, but I'm looking at this diagonal line that's going down the middle along with, let's just see, let's move it that way, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so this is going to, I'm going to trim this to, what is this, a 4 inch square this will be. So what you need to look at, actually I won't use that little one, I'll use my big one so that you can see the markings. So we're looking at this 45-degree line, which is here, and we're going to trim it down. Actually, that is just about 4, but I'm going to trim it down to a 3.5 inch square. So I'm looking at this diagonal line, which needs to run along my seam. And then I'm going to drag that line along the seam and make sure that the 3.5 down here and the 3.5 up here is within, there we are, is within that area. So with that, I can see that my diagonal line is there. So I'm going to trim across there and across the top. So let's just take those bits away. And then, leaving my ruler there, I'm going to turn this around 180 degrees, knowing that these two edges are the ones I've just cut. So I can then line up the 3.5 on that line and the 3.5 at the bottom edge as well. So I've got 3.5 going along that bottom edge, 3.5 going up the side, and my diagonal 45-degree line is still there as well. So I can then trim that off, and again I have a perfect 3.5-inch square just like that. So a little bit more, 2 lots of cuts rather than one, using the ruler. But as I say, if you don't have the easy half square triangle ruler, that is the way to do it. So always remembering the 45-degree line on your ruler lines up with your seam line, and then you'll have perfect half square triangles. So I'll put that out of the way because that's the wrong size for our project. But that is the half square triangle. So we now have half square triangle. You will need to make 20 of these. So what you'll need is 10 5-inch squares in your light fabric, 10 5-inch squares in your darker fabric, whatever it might be. They may all be different colours, absolutely fine. That will look even scrappier than mine is. You'll need 4 of the 4 patches, so make 3 more of these, and you will also have 1 square in a square. So those are, we did those for the first 2, and that is our 3rd one. So when I'm coming back, that was 11 o'clock, I shall be back at 2, and we will be doing, oh, that's my arm. Let's just have a look here. So at 2 o'clock, we will be doing flying geese. So if you get your fabrics ready for your flying geese, that will be the penultimate session, but it gives you enough time now to make 20 of your half square triangles. And then, as I say, we'll do flying geese, which we only need to make 4 of those. So the way we're doing that is with 1 large square and 4 smaller squares. So just look at pick your pieces out that you need. You will need a 9.5-inch square in a dark colour, and then you'll need 4 4.5-inch squares. Am I right? No, you'll need 5-inch squares. So a 9.5 and 4 5s, so you'll have those left if you've got your fabrics out for making the 1 set of flying geese. And then I shall return at 4 and we'll put it all together and you'll find out exactly what it is. So I'm going to leave you now. If you didn't get a chance to watch the first one, you can go back into the group and watch that, because you can have your lunch break as a good couple of hours when I'll be back at 2 with flying geese. So thanks for joining me. I will see you very, very soon.